Right, okay, folks, welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. As you can see, it's going to be a short one, and that is down to one reason and one reason only. Or, in fact, two reasons. One, I've got nothing to talk about, and two, you guys have not been asking me questions. I'm going to let you off for last week because I was joined with the wonderful Andy Walker of Task Set Software. Andy's a lovely bloke. It was a live one, so I do get that you're not going to be able to, chances are if you're watching it, you're going to be watching it live, so there was no questions. But the week before, I had two questions, and that was it. Every week I get to Thursday or Friday, and I think, right, I've got nothing to talk about. I've got no questions, so I'm not going to do a waffle, but I always try and kind of get one out anyway. So, I've said it quite a few times, folks. If you want this thing to continue, you need to give me stuff to talk about. You really do, because I've quite literally reached the bottom of the barrel, without going over the same things again. So I'm going to just crack on with the questions first before I kind of get into what I've been up to this week. Colin Jones, my question for the next waffle. We have just had a change to our recycling, and it's a right pain in the arse. What recycling procedure do you have? Um, Up here in good old Blighty, or Scotland, I should say, although I think depending on what region you live, they probably have different recycling. We've got three bins, no, four bins actually. We've got grey bin, which is general rubbish. We've got blue bin, which is cardboard and paper. The green bin is plastic bottles, cartons as well, even though they're cardboard, so kind of plasticky stuff. And then lastly, we've got a brown bin, which I believe is for food. It used to be for garden compost, but for some weird reason they've changed it. And if you put any kind of garden compost in the bin, they will not uplift it. Now, I don't have any, I don't use my brown bin. I do use the other three. I mean, I am extremely OCD when it comes to recycling. When I'm in the kitchen, I'll always separate plastic, cardboard, general rubbish. Um, the thing about my council, it's not my council, but you know what I mean. They're extremely, they're extremely strict on putting stuff that doesn't belong in a bin. I mean, one of my neighbours, who's an elderly lady, she had, I think it was her blue bin, which, no, it was a green bin, which had plastic stuff in it. And her son had unwittingly put, I think it was like a crisp packet, a single, a single crisp packet on top of, inside, inside this bin. And the council refused to empty it because it had a crisp packet in it, which is absolute bollocks. I do get that they want to try and keep things separate because what they say is they can, if they, it will contaminate things. But come on, seriously, guys, you could have quite easily lifted the bloody packet out, whatever. I know they'll be arguing and saying, well, we can't afford to do that. We don't know if there's any needles or bloody blades or whatever. So, but yeah, you've really got to be careful what you put into it. Yeah, and finally, Milthy Swinbuckle. Question for next waffle. Bit of a hard one to explain this one, so bear with me, it always is, Milthy. Are there any games that you like where you play as a creature that is in no way human in any sense? So there's no predators, aliens, cyborgs, basically life, Jim, but not as we know it. Or something you control that would be totally alien to a human. So no spaceships, tanks, planes. A game that has odd controls, but odd controls for this reason. Perhaps even using a way of communicating and interacting with things that is unique. Hard to explain, but as an example of such a game, here's one I would like that came out in the early 2000s. The game is called Flow, a game in which you control a worm or jelly-like creature. Now, see, is that not technically an alien, Milfy? And you eat your way to the top of the food chain, evolving as you go. Basically an eat 'em up type game. It used the mouse for control as you swarm about eating and avoiding other creatures, and had a kind of blip system for detecting stuff. Something that is not vaguely human. You could say our Prime Minister for starters, but I'm not a political channel. I wouldn't even dream of saying anything like that. Um, I suppose. Well, I mean, you could argue Pac-Man is Pac-Man. He's not an alien. He's not uniquely human-like. Here's one. What about Quicks? You control. I don't even know what you call it. You control a little energy force. Uh, you don't kill anything. You merely fill in the screen. Um, yeah, I think that's not alien or human being at all. But I suppose most games, when you think about it, most games do tend to kind of use something that you can relate to. So whether it is going to be some kind of spaceship, vehicle, whatever. But an interesting question, Milty, and massive thanks to you because you always keep me busy with these things. I know sometimes you do ask me a question which I kind of struggle to answer. And sometimes don't for that reason, but I do appreciate you keeping it going. And like I says, folks, if you want this waffle to continue, you need to give me stuff. I don't want to sound like, the school teacher giving you a lecture. It's quite simple. I've been doing this for such a long time, and unless I've got somebody else, that's why I try and bring in other people into the channel because it does make it easier. You've got somebody to kind of bounce off and interact with. When you're doing these things on your own, you're looking at a webcam as I am at the moment. It's extremely difficult if you've got nothing to talk about. So if you want these things to be a regular thing, you need to give me questions. Preferably not yes or no answers. Stuff that a topic type thing that I can kind of talk about. So anyway, I've kind of done this thing in reverse. I've done the questions first. This week, what have I been up to? I was playing pool on Tuesday. I've been at Cook Soul the last couple of days, or Monday and Wednesday. I always go to Cook Soul. I've been quite busy on the video making front. I managed to get about 4 videos done over the weekend. One of which I put out, well, technically tonight, which would be Thursday. What was it again? It was Stealth. Yeah, the classic 8-bit game on the Atari 800, and it also came out in the C64. I think it was Broderbund Software that put it out. And I also did a Nice and Nasty podcast with my good mate Panther UK. I recorded a Nice and Nasty tonight with a guy that I've been looking to get on for quite a long time. Had a brilliant one. It runs for almost 2 hours. And I've got another one lined up for Sunday with a good friend of mine. He's appeared on my Blimey It's Only many, many years ago, but he's an excellent guy. So I've got him lined up. Um, what I did was I googled just to see one of the things about my channel. Although I'm into video games and what have you, I don't really keep up to date with current news. I tend to find out what's going on just when you guys are talking about it. But I just googled. There's a site called RetroDoo.com, and it's got various headlines. Easy Flash Nintendo 3DS flash cart finally coming to the US. Yeah, I don't think up till now you could really buy a flash cart that you can just drag games onto. So there you go, you've got that to look forward to. Apparently there is a lawnmower. I'm going to try and pronounce it, a Husqvarna lawnmower. It's got a display of some sort, and they've actually written Doom for it, so you can play Doom in your lawnmower. But there's one that caught my eye, and before I started recording this, I went and put it on to let you see it. And somebody has written an emulator for the 3DS, which allows you to play Virtual Boy games. Now, if you don't know what the Virtual Boy is, at the start of my intro on my YouTube channel, you'll see me playing the Virtual Boy. In fact, let me have a quick look. If I kind of move my head, And just about there, you can't really see it. In fact, I'll just tilt it. There you go. That thing right above my head. That there, over there. That is a Virtual Boy. Not Virtual Boy. It was a massive flop because people were complaining about getting sore heads playing it. It's purely mechanical. I love it. I think it's a great thing. But it died a death because people were complaining about giving sore heads, etc. And it was out for a very short space of time. So they are ridiculously collectible, and I'm really lucky to have that. I personally think it's great, but I do appreciate that most people don't have it. So if you don't have one, what you can do is download this, and it's called Red Viper. Now I know there's been what you call it systems that can play the Virtual Boy, but this one puts it into 3D. Now, hopefully you can see that. Now I'm going to move the slider up. It'll obviously not pick it up in 3D. Like that's 2D and that's 3D. I know you can't tell the 3D, but it works really well. Really well. Installing this thing is simplicity itself. There's an app. If you've managed to, it does only work in jailbroken 3DSs, by the way. I managed to jailbreak my 3DS myself a couple of years ago. There's loads of tutorials out there that you can watch. You do need a jailbroken 3DS, and it's simplicity installing that, and you can just go into your usual sites to find the ROMs. So yeah, excellent if you want to play 3DS games, Virtual Boy games on your 3DS in 3D, and that's the thing. Go and grab that. It's called, what is it called? Red Viper, I think it is. So that is kind of it. From a gaming point of view, what have I been doing? I've been playing a bit of virtual pool again. As you probably know, I do play in a pool league. And Virtual Pool is it's an old game. I mean, it came out when I still had dial-up back in sort of when would it be 1997, 1998, something like that. And Virtual Pool is a fantastic game. If you like pool, you've got to check it out. It is absolutely the most realistic kind of pool game you can get. There's been pool games that have come and gone on consoles, but the wonderful thing with Virtual Pool is the physics is spot on, and you use the mouse to kind of queue up, so you're getting a really kind of authentic experience. So it's wonderful. So listen, folks, I did say it's going to be a short one. It is. It's going to be less than 15 minutes. I can't emphasize enough. If you want the Friday Waffle to continue, then you need to support me. You need to get stuff in, because if I don't have anything to talk about, I'm going to stop doing it, and I can't pad out a waffle on one question, and preferably give me a topic to talk about. Mainmeister, what's your thoughts on, I don't know, the Jupiter Ace? What's your thoughts on the Amstrad? Is the Spectrum better than Amstrad, and why? What games in the Spectrum are better? Anything at all. If you want to hear me talking about it, ask me. So I'm going to get going, folks. Again, I do apologise about a short waffle, but you need to, if you want to see this keep going, you need to give me stuff to talk about. Sorry, folks. I was quite literally going to render this video, and I thought, oh, wait a minute, there was something I wanted to talk about. Hang on, I'm just going to turn that screen off. There was something I wanted to talk about. If you watched the Friday Waffle, oh, when would it be? Maybe about 4 weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago. One of my friends, Dave Campbell, he's got an excellent YouTube channel all about kind of web development. He was invited. Dave has recently started to collect watches, and he got fairly recently he got invited onto a channel. I think the guy comes from Australia, something like that. This Australian guy. So he invited Dave onto this channel, and there was two or three other people taking part. And the video went on for about 3 hours. And I'll be honest, it made me extremely uncomfortable watching the video. I mean, the subject matter wasn't something that I was interested in, but I was watching it because Dave was taking part, and I was curious as to see how it was going to go. Um, but yeah, the the guys would ask Dave a question, and then when he went to answer, they would just start talking over him and interrupting him, and the further on it went, they started getting quite abusive, and I actually commented and says, what the fuck are you all about? You've got this guy on as a guest, you're asking him a question, and you're not even listening to what he's telling you. So I tuned off, and later on I caught up with Dave, and he filled me in. He says that it actually got worse. He says there was a few people coming and going from the channel, joining the live stream, and they ended up kind of turning on him just for whatever reason, getting really nasty and asking him a question, and then when he was given an answer, they were saying, "Oh, you're talking bullshit," and it was all very, very bizarre. Now, because I've watched one of this guy's videos, YouTube keeps recommending other videos of him. Now, he seems to just do live streams, and I've tuned into a couple of them literally for about a minute, and I've never really, maybe I've led a sheltered life, I don't know, but I've never really witnessed such a horrible kind of toxic environment for a video. All these people, they're just shouting, and the guy that's channel that owns the channel, half the time he's not even there. He's walking about and he's not even taking part. And there's all these people shouting, and the crazy thing is, people are constantly giving them money on super chat. 10, 20 quid or dollars, whatever it is. And I'm just thinking, what the fuck? How is it that people watch stuff like that? There's people like that are just being basically being a cunt, and they've got big viewers, they're getting money, and I'm like, seriously. Then there's another video that got recommended to me a couple of weeks ago with YouTube, and it's an English guy. I don't know where he comes from, Swindon or something. And this guy goes into car dealers, Volkswagen, BMW, Audi, Ferrari, any Ferrari, and he goes in and he just starts filming, and 9 times out of 10, the receptionist will say, "Oh, can I help you?" And he went, "Yeah, yeah, I'm here to film." And they'll say, "Have you got permission to film?" And he went, "No, no, I don't need to do that. I'm just going to film." And he just walks about. Then, a member of staff will come up to him and say, "Look, what are you doing?" He's, "Oh, I'm just filming." And they'll say, "Look, we'd prefer it if you didn't film because, we've got customers in, we've got members of staff who are not comfortable about appearing on YouTube. So I would appreciate it if you turn your camera off." And this guy will argue back and say, "No, I'm not turning the camera off. I'm perfectly entitled to video this." And then, that'll be the end of the conversation. And then he'll say to the guy, "I would have been quite happy to kind of walk out the car showroom, but to be honest, you've been very aggressive." And then the salesman will say, "Well, I've not been aggressive at all. You're the one, you're the one that's kind of been awkward. Oh, you're being aggressive. Oh, I don't like your attitude." And I've watched a few videos of this guy, and every single it's the same formula. He goes into a car showroom, and he'll just walk about without asking. He'll just walk about videoing, pointing the camera at people, and he deliberately antagonises people. He does it deliberately to provoke a reaction. And I now understand why people like him do that. They do it because people like me watch the videos and he gets money. But it just beggars belief, and it saddens me that there are people out there that will go out their way to basically be a cunt to make money and get views. you know, and it kind of makes me think, what's the point? You know, if this is the way YouTube is going, where it's going to start rewarding people like that, people who are just being deliberately obnoxious, irritating, and rude, and they're going to reward them with big views. And you know, I'm probably part of the problem because I'm watching this guy's videos even though the guy's a complete tit. I don't doubt for one second that the guy's an intelligent guy, but dearie me, it saddens me when I see people making a living out of being a complete arsehole. So anyway, listen, I'm away for proper now. I will be back on Sunday 7 o'clock till 9. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. So thank you very, very much for watching the video, folks. Until next time, take care.